Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Aha Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sotosan 0424, and Video Gamer 75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really help us out. Thank you for your support, everybody. Spoiler warning, you are watching the not redacted version of this video where I will totally spoil major things about this character. If you don't want spoilers, check out the redacted version of the video. Okay, is everybody gone? Alrighty then. Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the show where we let you know where you want to roll 5 stars. That didn't grammatically make sense, but I'm going to roll with it because I don't want to do this take again. I'm already fighting my creaky mic arm. Anyway, hi. We're back. We're doing a real Wanted, kind of, because of the thing with the thing. But anyway, this is like Archer Shinjuku, where stuff is in 2 parts. So this is the full version, in case you can tell from the spoiler warning. This is where I will talk about the full 4 segments of a character. We will talk about their real-life history, their fate lore with a capital L. We will talk about their mechanics, and we will talk about their rarity. Not their star rarity, but how frequently their rate-ups are. Though this is a permanent caster, so it's, you know, a thing. Also, a fair warning, in case you didn't know, if you watch the redacted version then want to go back and watch the full version, the mechanical segment audio is the same, just the graphics are different. I censored some stuff for the redacted video. This is not. Okay, I think I've done enough build-up. It's time to just jump in. Hey, so we're talking about the 5-star caster of Nightless City, a.k.a. Scheherazade, the narrator from 1001 Arabian Nights. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and jump in real life. Scheherazade is the narrator of 1001 Nights, a Middle Eastern story collection. So she's kind of part of the framing narrative, you know, narratives within narratives, stories within stories and stuff. The general gist of the meta-narrative for the collection that is Nights is that the king, Shahryar, there's a lot of H's in that, his first wife was unfaithful to him, and to get out of it, he got rid of her, and then resolved he would marry a new virgin each day, and then get rid of the old wife the same day. So she never had a chance to betray him. A little extreme, but he was the monarch, so what he says goes. Apparently, this goes on for 1001 nights in the first place, 1001 days, before he is introduced to Scheherazade, the vizier's daughter. She is depicted as quite scholarly, and very well-read, so she's studied all the books in the library. You know, her dad is the vizier, so she has access to histories, works of philosophy, sciences, arts, everything. Incredibly well-read, broadly topicked, and is described as polite, witty, you know, of utmost standing in life. So she's a smart, intelligent woman, and against her father's wishes, she volunteers to marry the king. You know, she's going to go for the whole thing, the one night and this whole thing. But once there, she asks if she can bid one final farewell to her sister, or her sister has to be with her, depending on your version of the narrative. There's a couple different translations. Yes, occasionally the sister is even creepily there, but let's not talk about that. Her sister is Dunyazad, and basically, after all the business, it's the middle of the night. Dunyazad, who has been prepped, she's been picked and told, hey, in the middle of the night, do this. She asks Scheherazade to tell her a bedtime story. And so the king lies awake as Scheherazade tells the story, but then she stops in the middle. And then the king asks her to finish, but she says, there's no time, dawn's about to begin. So the king spares her life so she can tell the rest of the story the next night. And it goes on. The following night, she finishes that story, then she begins a second, more exciting tale, stops halfway through, go on and so forth. So basically, this goes on for 1001 nights, 1,000 stories, and then Scheherazade says, my king, I have no more stories to tell you, and during these nights, he's come to love and appreciate Scheherazade, so he cancels his old law, spares her life, makes her the queen. You know, this person, you know, classically gets to him with her charm and wit and skill, though also she's very pretty. And that's the rough meta-narrative for why there's a collection of the 1001 Nights and all that. That's, you know, what the stories tell, the story Scheherazade tells to stay alive and basically stall the king to save more lives. So, Scheherazade and Fate, caster of Nightless City. So, she's coming up. She's a major character in Agartha, the upcoming story chapter. She's a major antagonist for reasons. We won't get into them too much because I don't want to necessarily overspoil the story, but obviously you can probably figure out some direction things are going to go with Scheherazade as a major character, especially when we talk about her skills and stuff, and you can see them all uncensored in the mechanics section at the end. But Fate kind of leans in more to a more realistic and less romantic take, arguably, on the story, where Scheherazade has a lot of fear for her life in a lot of situations. And even as a servant, she's not really keen on the idea of going out there and fighting, right? She's a storyteller. She's a storyteller who's so good, her stories are literally magic, but still. So that kind of, like, constant stress and fear impacts her life a lot as a character in Fate. So obviously she's a major character in Agartha. We'll get to kind of see some of her motivation. She does also have an interlude, which kind of, many people argue makes her better because she has her own thoughts and feelings as a person in Agartha, which many of the players I'm sure will not agree with about some of this stuff. But she has opportunity to grow as a character thanks to interludes. God, I really wish they did more stuff like that with interludes. In addition to Agartha, obviously, she will be not a major character, but will be a supporting character in the second summer event. She's on one of the racing teams. And will also be a major supporting character in the upcoming OQ Labyrinth event that JP just had, where you can also kind of get an idea on her character development and stuff. So, I will tell you, you may or may not like her right away. I don't know for sure, because we don't know what the translated script is like. And I take everybody's broad, unfettered opinions on characters in JP with a huge grain of salt. Especially after playing Babylonian, everybody's like, haha, Ishtar, you're so useless. Oh, so many memes. She's not really that useless. Like, she's very Sun, and she does actually goof up a couple of times, but in general, she's not that bad. I think a lot of characters are like that, honestly. So, let's abandon our preconceptions and see with eyes unclouded, everybody. And so we shall move on, and we shall see. All right, well, I'm going to transition you into the mechanics section. Don't be surprised if I refer to her as caster of Nightless City again, because, like I said before, I recorded the mechanics section earlier, and I'm going to use the same for both, because there's nothing new in there other than the names are different. All right, I'll see you on the other side. So, caster of Nightless City. Well, let's start with the basic stuffs. You will note, boy howdy, there's a high shift on that attack versus HP. I believe until a very recent edition that this character had the lowest attack of any SSR ever and has the highest HP of any caster. So she's a little tanky. She's a little thick, as we say. But oddly enough, she's an offensive. As you can see on your screen now. Her Noble Phantasm, either version. And yes, I have tried to include the upgrades of stuff in both of these. But anyway, she's got an offensive AoE NP and looks like she's intended to hurt people, maybe, but then she's got a lot of stalling skills. It's kind of a weird kit, but I think the idea here is to supplement other arts-focused tankers on your team while also theoretically being able to do certain damage. I mean, she is still 5 stars, so obviously casters who do damage is not necessarily in a huge abundance. So you can get some benefit out of it, but yeah, her HP to attack ratio does kind of hurt her design. But boy howdy, survivability. Big tank. Star absorption and stuff is pretty normal for a caster. Got decent middle of the road NP charge per attack, 3 hits on her arts cards, 3 arts cards, 1 quick, 1 buster. Not the worst. Also, we'll go ahead and spoil it. Her only passive is Territory Creation A++, so arts effectiveness is also boosted a lot, so that NP gain is higher than you think. Should lean to a reasonable amount of spamming NP if you're actually using her to hit people. The NP is an AoE, like we said, deals damage to all enemies. Decent modifier, multiplier on its own. Does have a self-steroid, activates and increases an MP strength by 20% first, so there's a little bit of extra juice in there. And then does overcharge-based extra damage to enemies with the King trait. Now, this is not usually cavalry like assassins, though I bet if I looked it up, you'd find a couple. However, I would like to point out, if, some people are harsh on her, That is 200% damage plus. That's basically class advantage. Now, obviously, she's hampered by the fact that her starting attack is awful for an offensive character, but that's still doing a lot of damage. So it's a pretty decent effect. You self-steroid into a big sweeper, and it does bonus damage against servants. So it can probably best be used for clearing mobs in a boss wave, but also doing decent starter damage to a boss. And then, after an upgrade, you first of all increase the damage multiplier by 1, so that's pretty decent to amp that up even if you're NP1. And then it also adds a new effect, which is it reduces all enemies' debuff resist by 50% for one time, lasting 3 turns with a 500% surety. So even if they have some debuff resist, they are probably taking the 50% debuff resist down, which softens them up for some of her skills. Skills are probably where this character is going to be made. There's only a little bit of upgrading here. The NP improvement helps kind of set up her kit as a debuffer, and also means you get more damage out of it, which is good, because, like, she's got an offensive NP, it should do some damage. So we got her first skill. The skills aren't censored, because you probably can't figure out anything from this, if you don't already know. But Storyteller EX gives you a high chance to reduce one enemy's NP charge by 1. Starts at 80%, goes to 100%. Obviously, you want to probably take that all the way to 10 to scale it up, and also so you can get the cooldown, but 80% is decent, especially if you combine with the debuff resist chance. Also, it increases your art's effectiveness for 1 turn, 10 to 30%, so it's an NP steroid, and also buys you a turn, basically. The enemy's charge goes down, you slap them with this, you've decreased their debuff resist if you want to drop a stun or a charm. Hey, how about that? Second skill has a low chance to charm all enemies who are male. 30 to 60%. I believe that's pretty typical for an AoE charm. So, like, not, crazy good like Shuten, but a decent chance to charm all enemies, and if you've got her NP on that, all your enemies have a reduced debuff resist too, so that'll slap them in there pretty good. Improves your chances of not getting debuff blocked. It also comes with a 2-turn defense up, which starts at 20% and goes all the way up to 40%. 40% def up combined with her high HP means she's taking a very reduced amount of damage. And then her final skill is Counter Hero. Kind of been, like, it's upgraded, so the starting version is alright. It gives you 5 turns of one-time guts, so that's a decent amount of time it can last in if you're running low on HP. And the guts amount scales up to 3k, not the worst, but certainly not a huge amount compared to her starting HP. But it does give one enemy with the King trait minus 30 to 50% attack for 1 turn. So you've got a lot of options to stop enemies from hurting you, all told. We'll talk about the upgraded version in a second. But so you've got 80 to 100% chance to remove a charge. Okay, you don't get to NP this turn. Charm for 1 turn, all enemies. Okay, that means you guys are done this turn. And then 50% attack count, which is a significant decrease, assuming they don't have any other buffs that overlap. You're talking about outright halving their damage if they're a king. So, yeah, that's decent amounts of survivability, but doesn't really clinch anything, right? Like, assuming you can find one, you've got Jeanne d'Arc on permanent. She's a ruler, so she gets lots of class advantage. She's got higher HP, and I believe better attack. Probably not very much, but she's got it. And hey, now that her NP interlude is out, she can spam her multi-turn invulnerable healing NP and doesn't try to be offensive. You can have extra damage dealers do that. So, Caster of Nightless City is a little weak in that regard. Now, when you upgrade her counter hero, though, to the EX rank, this adds a secondary effect which gives all your allies a 500 HP one-time guts for 2 turns. That's a little dicey, but it does kind of spread the guts out. Team guts is an interesting effect, so it will help buff up your team survivability. All in all, the kit is a little anemic. She's got a stall kit on her skills, though one of them also is tied to one of her NP steroids. On the other hand, she's got a self-steroiding NP with a trait damage multiplier. So normally those mean big damage, but her low attack, so it's a little schizophrenic. Like I said, not even purely because of her skill set, but offensive-focused casters are not the most commonest. So if you get her and you want to blow up assassin waves, I mean, she's just as decent as any. And can probably actually do surprising amounts of damage if you can get her art steroid up, possibly buff her with other people, team support. Throw Tamamo in there, stuff like that. And she can make a secondary damage dealer with kind of stalling potential. Not as good as like an AoE arts as like Kiara is. We talked about Kiara previously. Kiara definitely needed some upgraded to her skills, but her core concept of you will not avoid this damage and also I will heal me sticks. And it's interesting because of Counter Hero that we make some of these comparisons. Synergy, art synergy, obviously. Art stall in general. She's an art stall. Like, don't let her offensive NP fool you. This is an art stall character who can actually clear waves and might do a decent amount of damage over time. The other thing to consider is, especially post-NP upgrade, where she's got, the extra damage tier. This is a character with pretty decent gain, like we said, with the territory creation. If you pop that art steroid, right? You should hopefully be dropping this AoE attack at a fairly decent click. So with that trait damage, you can probably whittle on opponents. It's not going to be as good as if you have, like, a more offensive-focused single-target arts, but beggars can't always be choosers. So, CEs, again, anything arts, just arts all the time. If you're trying for a quick wave clear, I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting NP Charge because she doesn't have any batteries. So you probably don't want to go with, like, Halloween Princess, Golden Sumo, or K-Scope. In general, you're going to want to be a big arts and NP Strength because you're going to want her to do more damage. And that's about it for Caster of Nightless City's mechanics. She's not the most impressive, but she does more work than a lot of people think, I think. This is something I talked about recently on Let's Talk FGO, talking about Jinako/Ganesha, who has, like, even less attack than Caster of Nightless City, pretty sure. Not 100% sure, but pretty sure. It's hard to do comparisons between classes, okay? And obviously, Ganesha is a Moon Cancer, which means even weirder, like, class bonuses. But she has, like, between defense down and attack up, she's got, like, the potential to increase her damage output by, like, 80%. Possibly stacking, because the defense down on enemies is on her NP, which she's arts, so spamming. So you can kind of see what I'm getting at, which is basically servants with low attack are not necessarily low hitters. Like, another good example is Emperor Qin I think I got that right. I'm terrible with the Chinese phenoms, guys. But he also has he's a ruler, so low attack, but he's got crazy good art attack and crit multipliers. So Caster of Nightless City's skill set is not that synergistic. She only has, like, 1 damage steroid, which is also tied to one of her stall skills, but she does have a trait damage on there, so you will punish those enemies. And since I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and pop open the traits and list some guys who have kings. So you're looking at all versions of Altera, all versions of Artoria. You're looking at some Berserkers, including Beowulf, Caligula, Cleo counts, which might actually be relevant. There is a Halloween rerun coming up. All versions of Gilgamesh. Ironically, the final boss of Part 1. We're not going to mention him because of the spoilers. Oz. Both versions of Maeve. Many riders. Mostly, unfortunately, Knights class. But a few Berserkers. And honestly, technically a few riders with that 200% damage, you will actually... I believe that should counteract the 50% reduction from, what you want to call it, the class disadvantage. So, it's not the worstest. Nidocris counts, which means Summer Nido counts, which is also ironic. But I'll have talked about that in the uncensored version. Oh, there's even further results. Who's the full list? Oh, it doesn't show me. Okay. But yeah, the king trait is super common. It's about up there with big ones like Divine and Riding. Like, it's not a shocking trait. That also extends to characters she can slap with her attack down. Alrighty. So with that out of the way, let's talk Rarity and wrap this up. So, Caster of Nightless City's raid-ups. Obviously, the Agartha release will be about her. She will return on a raid-up for the 2nd anniversary, because story characters. Look forward to her in at least some future class-based campaigns. And, of course, future Valentines, because she's a female 5-star. She will also be in the the second Summer 2 banner, or is that the third? I think it's the third banner. Anyway, there's a special banner for non-new characters in Summer. I think it's technically the third, though for some reason it's listed as the second, which will allow you to get a chance at raid-up on her, and the second OQ summoning campaign. And also, of course, like I said, permanent ult. But if you are actually hunting for her, she has a decent spread of raid-ups every once in a while. All right, everybody, that's the video. Hope you liked it, whether you're listening to the redacted version or not, because this audio is going to be used for both, because I'm lazy. So either way, thanks for tuning in. We'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of offensive casters, so I'm semi-interested in this character, but I'll also probably want to see Agartha first. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Though, if you are watching the redacted version, no spoiler comments, I will remove them, and I will be angry at you. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to continue getting more Wanted videos as more videos come out. More servants, I should say. And also to tune into our regular show, Let's Talk FGO, where we talk about ongoing events in JP and NA. So we talk about new servants in both servers. We'll talk about some other Agartha servants when they're out, stuff like that. Even if you're already subscribed, considering that bell for notifications, so you always know when a new video comes out. And like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You could have gotten this video early. Alrighty, I'll see you guys in, I don't know, 2-3-ish weeks, probably, for Holmes. Somewhere in there. Somewhere definitely in the next month. For Sherlock Holmes. I mean, I guess theoretically Drake's got a raid-up coming, but I don't know if I want to do another Wanted video. I could. We'll see what people say. Anyway, thanks as always, guys. Look out for Let's Talk FGO later this week. Okay, thanks. Bye.